friends, I'm Rick, this is your seat at the table, and we are looking at issue number 9 of BattleTechnology, a magazine of combat in the 31st century. Excuse me a minute, let's hope I can get through this video without yawning my butt off, because I did that doing the shrapnel bit. Shrapnel in issue number 1. I have yet to go out. I had to, when I discovered I had diabetes, I had to switch over to 0 calorie, 0 sugar beverages. So I have Pepsi Zero, and it tastes best bloody cold. The colder the better. So I got a can sitting in the freezer right now, so I can get it iced up just a hair, and then I'm going to probably guzzle half of it. So we are talking The War is Over. This was $4.95 when it was published, and it was published in what year? What year? What year? What year? What year? You know, it's always in the fine print, and I can't find it off the top of my head. Anyway. Alright, so we have Skyfall, Assault on Jump Station Kusari, House Marik surviving in a hard school, Departments, News from the Front, Peace Breaks Out, BattleTech Interviews, Princess Melissa Steiner-Davion, Mech Warrior Attack, BattleMechanics, alright, the Battle Simulator. So we got Peace. So, Peace, the 4th succession war is over. Can you believe it? No. And we all know, so this is February 30/30. So we all know how that played out. Surprise, Chancellor. They talk about Morgan Hasek Davion's raid on the capital world of, I want to say Capella, but that's not right. House Liao's capital world, where they recovered Justin Zing and Candace, Liao. There was some really crazy stuff that went on. That is part of, I can't think of the Warriors series. Is it the Warrior series? Very end of the book, very dramatic, very good read. So we got sentencing in Northwind war crimes trial. Kellhounds, how did it end? So today, at last, the Jin Yosha met the Kellhounds. This had been accumulating battle in a feud begun over a decade ago between Colonel Morgan Kell and Taisa Yorenga Karida. I love that series of novels. That really drew me in. Romano Liao refuses to sign the peace accords. Well, of course she does. And to her defense, no offense, she lost most of her, or half of her her house. So I can understand her being a bit sour. So, a day of Thanksgiving from 3029, right? Peace breaks out. Interdiction lifted, peace suggested. Comstar peace pact is signed. Reactions from the 5 successor houses. Of course, Romano Leo gave everybody the finger. Janice Marik is saying, peace in our time is always a wonderful thing, blah, blah, blah. Everybody wants to get their 2 cents worth. Other states, I guess they didn't bother to go out and ask the prayer for what they thought about. So we have a short story, Skyfall, which is pretty good. My yawn is too much for me to try to give you a recap on it. BattleTechnology interviews. So we have an interview with Melissa Steiner-Davion and her life story, some of it anyway. A few things that she, let out that we know in the novels now. And we got Assault on Jump Station Kusari. From the Memoirs of Mech Warrior Sandusky Sorrell. What if the Davians get here first? Or got here first, right? Goes on and on. So we get to BattleTech Readout, BattleMechanics, the BTE 3B Beatie Hovertank. These are nice little boogers. I fielded a couple of them. 50 tons, packs a medium laser and a pair of SRM6s. Respectable amount of armor. Let's see what we got. Cruise speed is at 10, flank speed's at 15, fusion engine, armor is 72 points. Yeah, pretty respectable. I used a cardboard cutout version, if I remember right. I believe I copied this page and I shrank that down a little bit with a Xerox, and then I made half a dozen copies of it, cut them out, stuck them on cardstock, and glued them to them, and then cut the cardstock out. So I had these little cardboard versions of this mech, which was nice. Fire control diagram. The general BattleMech operation 394 crew interface with the weapon control systems. So it gives you the schematics about basically how your joystick works. Survival in the hard school. In the recent history of House Marik from an informal source. Right? The theory and practice of assassination. Always a wonderful topic. One of the many mysteries that may or may not have been solved was Snowfire. The information on her is sketchy, for example. She is known in history only by her courtesan's name, but from the archives it may be possible to reconstruct more of her background. She was about 25 years old, very beautiful, highly intelligent, probably dexterous to a fault. This can be seen by her rise in the Ukiyo, from Razzlehog to as a lowly geisha to the royal household. She was loyal to the Lyran Commonwealth, and she cared deeply for the lover whom she knew she would never see again. She was an expert in the use of a knife. A single blow killed the coordinator. Yeah. Modified Griffin. Callison, the king of the hill. BTO gunships. One of the things that came out early was that there were a handful of BTO helicopters, BTOLs, but they were like an afterthought. There was very few of them, and they were kind of rinky, to be honest. Oh, the Ferret and think of the other one. They're solid, but they're still rinky in my mind. There was a lot of missing stuff, and so through BattleTechnology and other sources, at the time Bassett was trying to address that a little bit. So we now today have much more wider range of vertical takeoff and landing craft, i.e. helicopters, and some are prop-driven and jet-driven vehicles, including infantry transports and medevacs and supply transports and things like this, stuff that was woefully underrepresented in my opinion. So we add a few more here with the Kyren VTOL gunship. It comes in at 30 tons, packs a PVC, 3 medium lasers, and a single SRM-2. Flying speed is 9, cruise speed is 6. Armor 104 points of armor. That's pretty respectable for any kind of VTOL craft. We got the Goshawk 25 tonner, packing 2 medium lasers and SRM-2. And then we have the Iroquois Transport VTOL. So it is 15 tons, has a passenger bay, can carry 7 tons, a single machine gun in the front. And the Lifesider Medical Evacuation VTOL of the same. So it talks through the various houses and versions and some of their preferences in using them. I think a lot of them get sold short or underutilized. I don't know. I really have fun with them. Whenever I was doing large scale campaigns, Battle Force was usually our go-to, because once again you could put entire battalions over a very large map and actually maneuver and stage and have your support services near on the field where you can see that. This gives you a great learning curve to understand how you could picture that in your mind when you're playing the tabletop Mech Warrior or BattleTech, when you're sitting there with a lance, maybe a company, a lance with some support, that kind of stuff, and a lot of your assets are actually off the board. And if you're part of a larger organization, you've agreed upon these caveats and the rules, you can call down artillery, you can call in airstrikes, and that would include VTOL strikes, if your side has them available and they're not tied up someplace else on the battlefield. So it was always something nice to see and nice to have. Here's the Werven VTOL. We move on to the LYN 5X Lynx. So the Lynx is, I want to say that I did field this one a couple times too. Got a PPC in the right arm, SRM-4 in the left torso, an LRM-5 in the right torso, and then 3 medium lasers, 2 in the left arm and 1 in the left torso. So Lynx designed at Callan Industries, a group of expert technicians and mech warriors in response to the Starleague contract issued in 2736. After studies of combat reports the early battles between Starleague units and rebellious periphery states. These reports indicated a need for a mech with more firepower and a medium weight class, since it appeared that firepower and protection were superior to mobility in many of the situations that the Starleague armies were facing. Callan Industry modified their Wolverine chassis to meet the contract defense. I was going to say, I thought that was based off of a Wolverine. Like I read this, it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago since I read it. Got a little, what's going on? Got a little pain up in here. Sign of like getting old. You know, I got a couple variants here. Said the LYNN6X variant removes the missile racks and replaces them with a large laser in the left torso and adds one heat sink to right torso. This variant was designed with raiding and guerrilla warfare in mind, since it would not be dependent on missile reloads. The 7X removes the LRM rack for a pair of 4 jump jets and an additional heat sink, designed for hard fighting and rough terrain where jump jets would be necessary for mobility. Neither variant was produced in large quantities. Estimate that less than 15 of each of these types were built in Unisphere. So it's one of those things to consider when we talk about, we go back to the 3025 era, when the BattleTech is literally one step away from being some sort of weird Mad Max kind of conflict. Everybody salvages the king. You don't ever leave the field without grabbing an arm or leg or part of it, at least if you can, or another mech altogether, and hauling it off with you, whether it's your own or the other side's. If you leave it there, the other side can come get it too. Then you might be hard pressed to recover it. And then of course the fact that you would often find field units with very, very poorly thought out units, where you would have a mixture of mech classes and tonnage types, and some were much better than at certain things than others, but this is what your unit had to put in the field, and you were grateful to have unit to have mechs in the first damn place. So unit with some pretty oddball combinations. This is where a lot of mechs that we know from the older school have a lot of defects and a lot of problems, and they don't. Biggest problem was they weren't able to focus on the niche environment that they're meant to operate in. The Charger keeps coming back to mind with all this small lasers. It was really just a bruiser for getting in close and pummeling other mechs to pieces. That's where the small lasers really came into play. Is at this point you're using them to pick away at your enemy, looking for that vital crack in their armor that you can get into the internals and cause havoc. But except for that very specific role, the mech was worthless for just about everything else. Yeah, it had some respectable speed for an assault mech, but what good is that against when medium mechs had enough firepower to bring it down? So I mean, it would take a while to shoot through its armor, yes, but its offensive capability, if you could just stay out of range of its fists and small lasers, it was rendered useless. It was pretty. You just had to keep an eye on it, make sure it didn't sneak up behind one of your units. It's just kind of the way it goes. So assault on Jump Station Kusari, the Ghost Lady and the Wolf. Right, so we move on to the next thing. Unit update. This would be from Wolf's Dragoons. What remains? Yeah, after the Battle of Misery, the 5+ crack units of Wolf's Dragoons are reduced to a reinforced battalion. Everybody's dead or badly wounded. Their mechs are destroyed or badly beat up, and it will take literal years for them to recover from all this. All right. As it goes, takes pride to publish names, condition, dragoon survivors. You will note that in some cases only the name remains of a lance. Yet the dragoons are still ready to do battle. We regret to say the names are not yet available for infantry, aerospace, VTOL, tank, or other non-mech units. This is not due to any lack of respect for those brave warriors. It's simply that mechs are much easier to spot from the air. Wolf's Dragoons have not yet appointed a new press officer, and no statistics are available from them. Mercenary units that use the standard pride are rare, and units with a combine this pride with awesome fighting readiness as the Dragoons are even rarer. Yeah, there's no question about it. It was a perfect victory for the Wolf's Dragoons. Yes, they buried the damn Takashi Gerda in his own home. Yes, they literally kicked his, excuse my French, his ball sack between his teeth, because that's what they do. Yes, they did play an important role in the Fourth Succession War, mostly by drawing Takashi's obsession with their destruction. After he was insulted repeatedly, as far as he was concerned and his honor was concerned, he'd been repeatedly insulted by the Wolf's Dragoons. So he was going to make damn sure they paid. So he threw a lot of crack units at them and got them ground up. Units that would have been desperately needed on the front while they were fighting for their, his son Theodore's fighting for their very survival. Takashi's pursuing a private feud with a mercenary unit. So And in defense of Jamie Wolf and the Wolf Dragoons, the Creedus had every look of it coming to them. You know, just sad to see how far down the defeat tree that they had almost gotten themselves to. So, you know, is where this got a little poem here, a lament. Gehenna regained. You know, I'm not even gonna try. Right, warrior poet profile, Sandusky Sorrell. Right, from Fan Company, Goltz Grenadiers under contract to House Davion. All right, where are you? Oh. Questions, BattleTechnology questions. Where were you when the Fourth Succession War began? Right? Oh, this was such an excellent time for BattleTech in those days. Really, really was. You know, I can wax poetic on it for a long time. Anyway, that is BattleTechnology issue number 9. You guys have yourself a great weekend.
It just irritates me to